Welcome to Film Study, an all-American podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, y'all. Whew, this week, 6 in the morning, and homecoming episode. We have Eve back on the podcast, and I'm kind of, as you can tell, audience, I'm kind of a little bit spaced out because those episodes, Eve.
A lot was happening.
A lot was happening. It was just like, and it's very odd because I feel like both shows found their groove at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it both, like, I feel like last week's episodes were both good transition points for the shows, and then this week it was just like, whoa, what is okay.
We're in college officially.
We're in college. The storylines are coming through. The storylines are hitting.
I loved both episodes a lot.
Loved both
Loved
episodes,
them.
but we're here. Yes, and we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about 6 in the morning. What were your? I know you said you loved them, but what'd you like about? What'd you like about episode 10?
Well, honestly, just seeing Spencer realize that you're not always the best player on the team anymore. And so just kind of transitioning from his high school where he's used to, being Spencer James, and now he has to prove himself all over again. So I really enjoy seeing that and just kind of seeing everyone's transition into adulthood. I think everyone made a jump this episode.
I agree. I agree with that point. I loved it, and I to your point, number one, audience, I'm finna be unbearable with the amount of times I said my prediction came true. Because I remember I think this was in a mailbag episode or something, but somebody asked me the question like, what do I expect for college? And I said sort of this exact thing, and I'm so glad that they're exploring it. But to your point about Spencer realizing that maybe he's not the best on the field, at least not right now, at where he is and the level of knowledge that he's had with high school. And so him really coming to a place where he sort of has to step his game up, as we saw sort of at the end of that. And then to your point about like everybody being grown now, to see Liv go to a 9 to 5 basically
Yeah.
was amazing. And for the first time, that's when it hit me that wow, this show is really entering a new era. It's
Yeah.
entering a new period, and it felt very much reminiscent of older shows that I've watched where they've had like a very serious sort of change and transition. And seeing Liv go to her job for the first time was me realizing this transition that All American has made. So it was a really cool episode. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that whole aspect was so realistic too. Like just how everyone's entering their own little journey.
Yes, absolutely. And so, to get into that, to get into sort of reviewing and recapping the episode a little bit more, uh, we can't forget about the adults now. All of the young adults had their own things going on, but the adults had a little storyline themselves too now. And listen, I love when Denise comes on the show because she brings a whole new energy.
Yes. I was so happy to see her.
Diavion, Diavion, she brings the Diavion realness. And she's such a breath of fresh air, and I think she just brings a different vibe. Rubbed Grace into joining the search committee for the new principal because Carter is no more. And Grace goes to Billy, sort of asking him if he wants to do it. He declines, which
Mm, you know, will we trust Billy running a school? Is
exactly, exactly. These are the facts. I'm over here like, you ought to decline, Billy, because you don't even have the degree for it. Do you even have an advanced degree?
I'm just trying to figure that out. I'm like, well, where are the degrees?
Where's the certification? Where are the qualifications? Exactly. And so, but Grace being Grace set her mind to do something, and then basically tricked Billy into becoming the principal. So at the end, he is the interim principal, and
Hmm. This is gonna be a
not the
comedy.
sigh. It is gonna be comedy. It is gonna be comedy, and even more so because once we get into predictions, we'll talk about that. But I'm with you on that. I think it's gonna be comedy. But right now, Billy is the interim principal, and we'll see how that goes. And also, I just feel for Crenshaw. Number one, this is
Yeah,
your second interim principal.
I know. It's like, when are we gonna get it together here?
Exactly. Let Crenshaw breathe. Okay, Spencer doesn't go to the school anymore. We can let Crenshaw breathe.
They can have fun. They can, yeah,
they,
be
they,
positive here.
they can have fun now that the Spencer's gone. He's not the protagonist to be bringing all of the drama to the school,
Right.
especially with Coob. Let's not forget about Coob now. But
Oh yeah.
the, and speaking of Coob, that wasn't even an on purpose transition.
She just inserted herself into the transition.
Like she inserted herself into Patient's life.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That she really does need to find something to do.
She absolutely does. One of the things that I was thinking about and we'll get to this in a second, but as we watched throughout the episode, as Asher was giving JJ rent money, how is Coop paying?
I I've been trying to figure that out too. Like, is she getting paid from her songs that she released a long time ago,
In
or like
royalties? They can't be that much.
$1.70? I don't know.
Listen, the bakers have a good little discount going at the. Somebody called it a shelter.
Is it a
The
shelter? It's a
Baker home.
hotel.
It's a hotel, it's a shelter. They just got everybody going in and out. Oh my goodness. It's like your grandparents' house. Like family members will just go in and out of your grandparents' house when one member moves out, the other moves in. So the bakers is definitely giving hotel. So patience is getting pretty frustrated with Coop at this point, and I love that the writers were self-aware enough to point out that Patience and Coop are always together, and more so that I think bringing Patience down first to have that conversation with Liv was self-aware that Patience really hasn't gotten her own storyline.
You know, it's true.
So Patience really spent that whole entire time sort of just going around to different people, had that talk with Liv, eventually had that talk with Layla about just needing a break from Coop and not wanting Coop to be around her all of the time, enlist Layla's help. So Layla offers to say, you know what, I'll have Coop mentor the young artist for the showcase that I'm doing. And so she won't be around you. You're gonna get a break. She won't be around you. And I'll just have her do this mentor thing and it's gonna be cool. Does the mentor and instead of I'm trying not to go in on it to be a Cooper.
Oops.
But instead of doing her job, tries to become Patience's de facto manager.
Which she did not ask for.
She didn't ask. Layla explicitly said, "This is not about Patience." Like, what is not going through your mind? Did she even? We didn't even see Coop interact with Nair a one
Not one. Not one at all.
artist. And thank goodness for Kim Nitty. Was I the only one who my jaw actually I think dropped.
I was so
My jaw
embarrassed.
dropped
I,
when Coop caused that scene.
I was super embarrassed because, that space isn't that big. So I'm thinking, you do know people can hear you, right? Like, this is unprofessional.
With industry execs. What?
Like, it was triggering almost.
It was because and I think like not only for like for both Patience and Layla in different ways, because it was really jarring, I think, to see that occur at the same time. uh because I think with Patience, we know that Patience has been frustrated for so long. And just seeing, here Coop goes again, like being embarrassing. And then for Layla, it was Coop once again messing with your money. I'm just like, this is a show and I invited you to be a producer. You don't want to, like, you're not on my label anymore. We hashed that out. This is fine.
And here,
And I'm like, I really want you to still be a part of the team.
and here you go doing extra things I didn't ask you to do.
And here you go, having a full and like for those who may not know, like a writer, which is self-explanatory, but like a little bit, but a writer is basically a list of requests, a list of requests that artists can make for any show, venue, event they're at. If I was invited to an event, I would be like, "Oh, could y'all put some kombucha or whatever in the backstage or whatever?" Like that's a writer. So a whole list of demands when the show is starting.
And then the list of demands, I'm like, Coop, really? Do you know your girlfriend?
Exactly. And that's the is that Patience was so embarrassed. And so I think that's what made the moment so uncomfortable, is that again, back to that point about it just being doubly embarrassing, because Patience has had enough, and she doesn't want this to be badly reflected on her as an artist. And then again, for all of these industry people to be, and let's even go beyond sort of just like the history context of Coop and Layla and Patience, just in the term of being an artist, right? Let's not even bring up the
Hmm.
fact that like but I'm gonna bring it up slightly. The Coop didn't tell Patience about the record deal in the first place way back when. Like, let's not even think about that. But think about the artist who Coop was low key bashing and shading during this whole time as well. Patience is not going. You're not going to open for Kim Nitty. Like being all loud in this girl's
Loud and just
face,
disrespectful.
disrespectful. And honestly, I thought, because the last time we saw Kim Nitty, she was, she had a little bark. She had a little bark. Let's not lie. Um, and it was very, proud, and wasn't backing down from anyone. So I was so super happy that she handled that in such a cool way, such a dope way. And I became a Kim Nitty
You
fan
know,
after that.
that could have gone totally differently, but
It could have gone totally differently, and thank goodness for Kim Nitty de-escalating that situation to be like, all right, let's get it going, let's get it going. uh so that was that. uh Layla obviously wasn't happy about it and let Coop know as much. And I yeah, I don't know what Coop was, I don't know what Coop was thinking, and I don't know how I would have reacted. So I'm just gonna leave that Layla's reaction at that. I mean, she could have handled it better, sure, but also you made a whole entire scene.
at
I
my
don't know. I don't
showcase.
know. At her showcase. And then only for, to that point, only for Patience then to come back at Coop with, what are you doing? Coop was asked a lot, what in the world are you doing?
I want to know the same thing. I think I would have
I
asked the
want to,
same.
because she lost her entire mind. I'm just so confused. And then for Patience to have to explain to Coop, like, I was doing this as a favor for Layla. I had a whole entire tour. You're the only one who the only other artist who Layla has ever done a tour for. So this is just a small little showcase. It's not like I haven't had the chance to go out on the road. What are you doing?
Yeah, I hope that she doesn't hurt Patient's career like outside of Layla. You know, like if some person wants to come work with her, and if that's like what they
Right.
think is going to happen each time.
Right. Right. And to that point is like because they are friends, um and I mean like the three of them together, like because just like historically they are friends and they also are in business together. uh it's just not it's just not a good look, because why do you keep doing that to your friends? And even though Patience and Coop are definitely in a relationship, like you could still call them friends, right?
Mhm.
And so why are you behaving this way for two of your friends? I don't understand that.
And it's like it repeats, not just with them, but it seems like in different aspects of her life with her friends. Like she doesn't think before she acts.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
I think this was the we're spending a bit of time here because I it was just so uncalled for. It was so uncalled for, and as much as I feel like the writers have alluded to Coop being toxic at times,
Hmm.
I think this was uh, in very recently, at least, this was one of the most open ways that they've like been like, no,
For sure.
this is toxic.
For sure.
This is toxic. Like other things we've been able to explain away. She was hurt. She was depressed. She was hiding from gods. Like all of these things, and now it's just like, no, she's just doing
Doing
nothing,
nothing and being toxic.
acting a max, acting a max. Exactly, exactly. So who even knows what's gonna happen with Coop at this point? But that was that. Simultaneously, Layla's been having a little summer delight. Summer delight with Clay. And he wants to take it a step further. She does not. Uh so it looks like they're at a bit of an impasse there. He actually said, you know, I want to be with you, Layla, and she responded, I'll see you in the next city. I'll see you in the next city. So that was whew, that was yeah. Uh she's also with this, she talks about it with Liv, and the reason she gives for Liv, because he has someone come and blah blah blah, and Liv points it out at the showcase, and she just basically tells Liv, I'm just focused. I want my number one thing to be my career. I want my number one thing to be music right now, producing. So that's her reasoning for that and the whole Clay situation. And what did you think about all that?
Well, I actually really like Clay from what we've seen of him so far. I think
Mhm.
he's a cool dude, and maybe someone
I would
good.
love him better if they would take out those cornrows.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, I hate them.
Let him have his
Just
curls. Let him have his curls pushed back.
let the curls
Specifically
flourish,
pushed back.
please. The braids throw me off, but he seems like an overall, decent guy. I guess I
Yeah.
was kind of shocked at how fast he was ready. I mean, I guess we skipped ahead a little bit, but just to see how fast
Yeah, about 3 weeks or
he's
so.
wanting to move.
Yeah. Yeah. He is wanting to move fast, to just be like, yeah, I want you to be my girl. That's not what he said, but like that's how okay.
So basically, what he was telling her.
um Yeah, he was very resolute in his, I want to be with you. He was very serious, and he does seem like a good dude. Um but yeah, Layla's doesn't seem as into it, and uh I don't know why that is at current, but I feel like I could see that coming. At least I think that was another something that I saw. I was just like, I don't think she's totally into it. Like she's into it for the physical aspect, but I don't think she's totally into it. And I think that that's true. So I think yeah, we'll talk about it more with predictions, but that's sort of where they left it, is that he made his intentions very clear, and she made hers very clear as well.
At least that communication is there.
Yeah,
There's
that's a good point, is that, wherever that leads them, both of them are being honest about what they want out of this thing.
no gray area.
Yeah, no gray area, which is good. Like, which is good. Like, let's have someone else besides Liv and Spencer, and Jordan and Simone at times when Jordan's not acting a mess. Let's have them have some good communication. Um, so that that ended where it ended. Oh, we forgot to mention Patience and Coop.
And their suspension.
Their suspension.
That's a new way to put it.
I I was dead over that phrasing. Like,
What is that?
what is that? And also, like, are the writers shading Coop because she got a GED and dropped out of school? Like, I don't know.
I was just like, who says
I don't
that? Like
know.
maybe this is
Who's It was really weird.
a new thing the kids say. We're gonna take a
it
suspension.
I think they had to think of a way to say we're on a break, but not have the audience just like be like, "Here we go, Ross and Rachel." Like they need
We need a break.
TV show writers are just like, what can we call it besides being on a break? What can we call it? We're on a suspension. We're on hold. We're on hold. And did she give a time for the suspension?
I thought she said just for tonight, and I was just like,
Yeah, she said for like 1 day, and I'm like, I don't know if you say all that and you say we're on a suspension
for
for one
one
day,
day,
but
but okay.
we'll see if they're off their suspension when the next episode comes. I'm not sure they will be. I think the suspension is sort of indefinite for the moment.
I think so.
Um, so yeah, they ended on suspension, and Layla and Clay, Lay and Clay, cute. They ended on a sort of uncertainty. So, with that being said, Liv started a new job, and she this like we suspected, right? She started this job. She thought that she would be able to write and all of this stuff and share her ideas, but she ended up doing what new workers do, what new entry level workers do, and that's getting things from the copier and
Getting your
getting her
hands
hands
chewed
stuck
up.
in the copier. Exactly, getting your hands chewed up and doing what really are these sort of menial tasks at first before she gets to work her way up. And it was someone said this, and I loved it, and whoever said this on Twitter, shout out to you, but they said that this whole entire episode was sort of a look at being humbled when you're out of high school,
Hmm.
um because you really think like I can take on the world, and that's absolutely true. But the world is a big place and you have to start from somewhere, and so
Exactly.
we saw that with Liv, and we saw that um with her boss as well. And I loved her boss right away. I feel like
Yes.
whenever we get characters that are introduced just solely with Liv, it tends to be regarding her sobriety, and so they tend to have these, I think, sharper edges to them.
Hmm.
And so it was just so good because Liv is a really sweet person. So it was so good to just see a boss that was sweet. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like
I
it
totally
was
get what you
just
mean.
someone encouraging her and someone that she can talk to and talk about journalism with, and someone who gets it. And so I love that for her. I love that for her.
Yeah, I really liked her boss, and she kind of reminds me of Simone's aunt in a way. Like in a
Right.
they kind of favor, but I just liked how she was honest with her, but didn't like talk down to her. Because in some of these jobs, they always introduce like this crazy person that's extra hard on you, and go get my coffee, and that's all you're gonna do. But she's actually teaching her things.
Right. Right. I completely agree. Completely agree. So that was amazing to see, and we saw that, and uh, sort of at the same time, even though Liv's sort of figuring this out and starting from scratch, as she and Spencer talked about, she's really also struggling with this idea and talks to Jordan about it, and uh, Layla about it. And Jordan and Layla had similar sentiments regarding like busy life. I want to focus on what my future is, what my career is at the moment. and I don't have time for a serious relationship. And so she's sort of thinking about this as she's talking with them, and really thinking about how she can best support Spencer, because as we know, he is struggling
Going
with his
through
schedule.
it.
Going through it. The whole top of the episode, we spent quite a time on this montage too. The montage was a
It
good
was a
minute,
great
which
one.
is long.
Yeah.
It was a great montage of Spencer just exercising, getting up at 6 in the morning, right, to exercise, to do it. He has this is D1 athletics, which is a huge, huge, huge commitment, because you're the best of the best. In like the NFL, which is his goal, is the best of the best of the best. So he's exercising. He has a full schedule. Both he and Jordan do, but a full schedule from 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. That's basically running drills, learning positions, having meetings, having conditioning, having everything, like practice, and all of those things. It's almost like
Yeah.
mini camp for college. Um, which mini camp is a huge dedication, because again, it's, you go to sleep and it's just like, what, I didn't get no sleep, and now it's back off to work.
Football is
So
life, literally.
football is life, literally, exactly. And so they've been having the fun like at the beach house, as we know, but really, really life has started back up for Spencer and Jordan. Now I'm going to pause on that for a second, because we have to do the little interlude to say the boys are still at the beach house. We knew they were going to extend the beach house.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Let's just get to the point where you guys say, oh, we're staying.
Right, right. I was just like, we're not building this huge beach house set just to have it be in one episode.
No, we're going to see a lot of that beach
With
house.
all them rooms. Exactly. And we saw a room too. No, no, we're not. We're not taking away this set. So they're at the beach house. JJ is making whiskey because, unlike Spencer and Jordan, he is not taking not taking his schedule
I found
seriously.
that so
Asher has
interesting.
become a bookie. I know, isn't it? Especially because at the end of last season, they tried to make it seem like he was going to be like, oh, maybe I'll be quarterback. You know what I
I
mean?
was just like, wait, like, where did change of heart come from?
Yeah, and I guess it's consistent with his character. Like, who is JJ anyway?
Yeah, we're still learning him, I guess.
We're still learning him. That's a great, great point. So we're still learning him while he's learning how to make whiskey. That was a horrible joke. I'm sorry. No, but he's learning how to make whiskey, and Asher is living his little bookie life, making the paper, making
Mm.
just wads of cash he's walking around with. I was very
I
confused.
was just like, dude, you're just walking around with envelopes full of cash. That's not suspicious to anybody else.
Exactly. And I feel like at his age, maybe I'm dating myself a little bit, but I'm like, at your age, you know what a bank is. You could very simply just deposit that money.
I'm just like, who carries that type of cash? Like, have some change, but
Exactly. In envelopes. Like, just in envelopes, like open.
like, whose uncle are
The
you?
envelope's not even sealed. The envelope's not even sealed. Like, and he rightfully got jokes about his kneecaps being broken, because when you're doing all that,
Those
it's a
kneecaps.
little
Yeah.
suspicious. It's a little suspicious. So Jamie comes back, which shout out to Jen, because she correctly predicted that. Jamie's back. It's been, I think, 3 months since he's seen her, and we find out that she has lupus, which somebody also predicted. People are just on it with their season 4
I
predictions. Is
know.
basically what this
It's
is.
like, are you guys sure you're not in the writer's room or
Exactly, exactly. The writers are just dropping spoilers, like they're just releasing bits of information information to people to say. But yeah, so Jamie has lupus. And so they sort of talk about that. Asher apologizes, and we've seen that. I did appreciate about the Asher storyline though, is that before JJ talks about moving into the beach house together, that Asher, it looks like Asher comes to the decision to quit the bookie job, because he wants to get closer to Jamie, of course. But also, it's just like it. I don't know. For me, it felt was I was just like, is Asher actually learning things now?
He's learning lessons.
I know, because I was just like, I was completely expecting Asher, and I will admit, I was completely expecting Asher to try to do like this whole circumventing thing. Like, let me see if I can keep the bookie job, keep making this money, and still just keep it under wraps while I'm living with all of these athletes.
That was the assumption that I had too, or that he just wouldn't tell them, or
Right, right. And so the fact that he actually said that he was done, I was just like, okay, props to you. Like that little clap gift. Okay, I see you. I
finally we
see
learned
you.
something.
Finally. And it was a breath of fresh air for sure. So that was that. As we know, they agreed to stay in the beach house and live together for a year. JJ was trying to make it long, and they were like, "Nah, we ain't about that. We'll stay for a year." They took shots of the whiskey, which I
I'm just like, you guys are literally dying all day. That's like the last thing you want to do.
number one, yeah, right, exactly. Going, you literally have football practice all day, but also, are you really trusting something that JJ made at home? Whiskey?
Yeah, no, thank you.
No, no. Do you all not recall the cabin when you were afraid to try his fettuccine? So why would you try his alcohol? It's not for
No,
me.
no, thank you. Have fun, JJ, but
Not
not
for
for
me at
me.
all. Exactly. Have fun, JJ. Look. Eventually, they all gonna end up on a billboard in Vegas. It's gonna happen.
I would love that.
Could you? I can see them doing that too. Just like everybody. Is it, and look, they're grown now. They're in college, so I could totally see them going back to Vegas, having a little,
Having a little extra fun.
having a little extra fun. Yes. Um. So that was that, and again, while they're doing all of this, Spencer is still just trying to balance his schedule. He hasn't made quite the impression on the coach that he'd hoped. He did a little one-handed grab in practice. The head coach was not happy about. He missed his wide receiver position group meeting,
He did not rush
which
drumline. That's I made that joke. Like you cannot show up right on time. You have to be early.
early. You gotta be early, sir.
If you're on time, you're late.
Especially for like the first week or so. Like you could get away with stuff when you're in like week 4 or 5, but not the first
No,
week, Spencer.
gotta be there at least 15 minutes early.
Gotta be there at least 15 minutes early. What's funny about that too is, to your point about the football stuff, I was so excited to see us, even though we didn't get to be in the meeting, right? But actually see Spencer be in a position group meeting, because
Yes,
that just raises the stakes of what he's in for now. Like, he's going to be in position groups, he's going to go over drills, he's going to go over things. Even when his coach said, right, I think that's one of the first times we've heard that, he was just like, now that's how you like break into a route and stuff like that. Like, I love the
I
specificity
love
of
it.
that.
And just like not being able just to depend on talent, but you actually have
Right,
to like do drills and you know work with your team. I love that.
right, right. um and speaking of working with his team, Jordan and Isaiah is back. We got Isaiah.
I was so excited to see Isaiah.
Me too. Me too. And Jordan and Isaiah did their thing. And I think it's because they don't feel the pressure that Spencer does.
Hmm.
And there's the pressure that Spencer places on himself, which, was I the only one shocked to find out that for someone as for someone who has as high a ranking as Spencer does, and I guess they did say that his ranking took a hit um when he got shot, after he got shot.
Hmm.
But for someone who has as high a ranking does, as high a ranking as he does, he wasn't even on second team.
I, yeah, and I think it's just I love the fact that we have to see him work for it and that they're being realistic with it.
Right.
But I was
Right.
very shocked by that.
Listen, me too. I love it too, and I was totally expecting it, and I was still just like, I wasn't expecting him to be on third string now.
I was like, I thought we would just have to work up one notch, but we have two.
Right. We got two notches to work up. And then here's the I even said this, I tweeted this. I was just like, this is the first time in a while that I've watched an episode and have actually like been stressed watching the episode because I was not expecting things. Spencer getting mossed on? Spencer getting mossed and intercepted
I
on?
was just like, oh, okay, yeah, we really are in college now.
We
We're with the
really
big
are in
boys.
college. And the crazy thing is that, and here's me being a little, here's my little film nerd coming out, but the fact that they took such care to call back to season one Spencer,
Hmm.
right? The very first thing that we see about him is that he can read people, especially on the football field, and he sees their ticks and he sees this and that. And we got to see that for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I think it's been really since that season, actually.
Y-
Yeah.
Right, right. And so the fact that we got that nostalgia and reminiscent of what makes Spencer so great, and the fact that it was wrong for him this time.
The fact that the guy had his own agenda too.
Right,
Yeah, that's.
right.
I just like the fact that they're showing the differences and they're not making it like he's coming right into college and just balling out.
Killing it right
Yeah.
away. Yeah, yeah. And so realistic, and you know, even down to things like him, at the end of the episode we see him, and he has this talk with Liv where he's just like, no, because she was worried, right? And he's just like, no, this is like the one thing that I look forward to, and I have to realize that like I need to be looking forward to my schedule. I
Hmm.
need to be looking forward to my football schedule like I look forward to our talks. And I think he realized that after, and we knew that he was going to have his good little Billy talk.
We knew it. I saw it coming.
If there's one thing we know for sure we go get,
It's a Billy talk,
they ain't finna miss their talks for nothing.
especially with Billy living in Crenshaw now. Yeah, for sure.
Facts. And you know what I loved about that too is when the little line where Billy says, or when Spencer asks him, "You saying all these dudes better than me?" And Billy goes, "Absolutely."
Absolutely. I mean, let's just be honest.
Right. Well, and just like again, back to that whole, it's a humbling experience for them because Spencer really needed to be humbled to say, I'm not the best right now, and like I'm gonna get there. Like we are trying to watch this man get to the NFL, and so he's gonna get to the NFL. Um, but it's gonna be such work to get to that point, and so to see him sort of like he said, like just start off fresh and build his way to this point is just gonna be so fun to
Well, it's
watch.
going to be rewarding, I think, for us just to see the growth from now till
Right.
whenever I guess he, kind of figures out his footing here.
Right, right. And not like the growth and like the steps. Because I feel like that's something that at least me, I feel like sometimes we miss was the steps. But to see the episodes start out where he's waking up at 6 a.m., and then to see him make that determination after all of the that he went through and after all of his talks and all of the advice that he got, that he made the decision for himself to then get up at 4 a.m.
Oh, yeah, that stressed me out.
It stressed me out. It stressed me out, but I was also just like, you know what, Spencer, this is not going to be forever.
Yeah.
And it just me like feeling like I hope that this is the start of him sort of learning balance, right? Like maybe there's a happy medium. Like he's getting up at 4 a.m. right now, but hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll see him and he's waking up at 5 a.m. because you don't need to wake up 2 hours early.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. Like, this isn't going to be a constant. He's going to find his way and be able to manage his schedule a lot better.
Right, right. So that is what I'm just thrilled to see is that. is that struggle with him. And I have this in the notes, but like, color me impressed. Color me impressed. I was very happy with this episode. I For me, this episode is quickly becoming one of my favorites of the entire season.
Yeah, like I think if everyone's storylines meant something, and I know I said
Right.
that last week, but I feel like this week it was even better because we really got to see them become young adults, like every single
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was to another level. And something that I also like, this was this was a want for me, y'all know Liv is my fave. And so I loved that, and bringing it like reminiscent to season 1 in some ways as well, but I love too that Liv got to I feel like she touched everybody this week.
Mhm.
Like, she interacted with everybody, and had her own storyline, and we still got the Spolivia goodness. Like, I loved
And
that.
honestly, you see, like I think it just flowed so well. I didn't even notice that she did talk to every single character.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is, yes, like, this is what I've been wanting. My live agenda is
Yes.
back. And so I love that. And even things like, because I think something that we especially when Spencer Spencer moved to Crenshaw, which we moved back to Crenshaw to say, and went to Crenshaw High, is that we didn't get that connectivity with the full cast of characters, because most of the regular characters are from are in Beverly.
Yeah.
And so there was it felt a little, I think, disjointed at times, and probably on purpose, right? Because he was in Crenshaw, and that's what it was supposed to feel like. But it felt a little disjointed at times because we didn't get to have them all together like this. And now that they found a way, even though I'm still just like this whole Baker situation with Liv and
In the house.
Patience and Coop, I'm still like, okay, that was a little shoehorned. I love it, but it was a little shoehorned. But for it for them to be seamlessly integrated, and it didn't feel weird that Patience is having this conversation with Liv, and that she's having this
Mhm.
conversation with uh Layla, and that they all live together. And same for the boys and the guys. Like, it didn't feel weird that JJ was just like, let's just keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Us and our whiskey.
Exactly. Exactly. Side note, because I forgot to bring this up. Flashing back to Liv real quick. Can we talk about how she said, oh yeah, I just needed a quiet place to work because and I'm like, girl, this is your
You
fault.
invited these people inside your house. What are we talking?
You invited these people. What are you talking about? Exactly. It was that for me, and do you know what else it was for me? Talking about how seamless the episode is. These are the couple of things that I was just like, this is hilarious to me. But the other thing was, how long is this night?
You know, was it a full night? The whole episode?
It was a full night. It was one day.
Oh my gosh.
And because we saw the football practice, the scrimmage game. Well, technically it wasn't one day. I think it was a couple of days, maybe two or so. But if you think about it, Jordan came over. He was just like, we're having this party later. So the scrimmage, Billy and Jordan talking, Billy becoming the principal,
A lot happening within a few
Liv
hours.
going back, Liv going to the showcase, Liv going to the showcase, and then going to her job after the
Then
showcase.
going to the beach house. Yeah, that.
Then going to the beach house. All of that happened in one night, and I'm very confused about that. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, see, I didn't even notice that because it wouldn't have made sense to me either to have that be one night, but
And I think the only reason I have a gripe with it is because I just would have preferred the football scene to be evening. like the sun going down.
Yeah,
And that would have made more sense to me, but it felt as if it was late at
like
night, that
9
scrimmage.
p.m.
Yeah. And so was this the beach house party thing, was that at 1 a.m. or what are we doing here? And if it's at 1 a.m., why are you getting 3 hours of sleep, Spencer?
Yeah, that didn't even come to mind. But now that you say that, I'm trying to figure out, yeah, what time was this game? What time was the
We would
party?
like to know, writers. Could you answer it? Can you give us
What was Liv doing at the
can you
office at
give us
10
some information?
p.m.? Like, what?
Exactly. I'm very good. What was her boss doing at the office at 10 p.m.?
Janitor hasn't even come in yet.
Exactly. So that was the only thing. But if that's the only thing I'm saying about this episode, it was a good, it was a good episode. But no, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was excellent, and I'm really excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, they pieced this together very well, I think. I don't know who the writers were for this episode, but they did a good job.
I wanna say. I want to say it was John Norris, and I really enjoy.
Oh, yeah, John is always good.
Yeah, he's excellent. John Norris and Christine Swanson. Christine Swanson, who, this is such an odd reference to make in this podcast. But if anybody has seen, this is a particular demographic, y'all. But if anybody has seen the Clark sisters Lifetime movie.
Oh, yeah.
Christine Swanson, black woman who's a director, she came through in this episode. She killed it.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know that.
So love her. So yeah, that was the episode, and let's get to predictions. Thanks for listening to Film Study, an All-American podcast. Stay tuned for our predictions.